Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Happy Monday, especially when we are living in such a dystopian time here in America, Stephen. It's a dark day here in America, Stephen.
It is.
It is a dark and tragic day now that we have President Donald Trump just eliminating due process from this country. You heard at first it was these illegal immigrants who we are told deserve due process, even though they didn't pay attention to any sort of due process when they entered our country, even though they weren't concerned with all of the Americans that they murdered, that they maimed, that they raped, that they assaulted. They didn't care about those Americans' due process. But now, on top of that, Stephen, we are told that this Trump administration does not even care about due process for American citizens. Can you believe it?
It's a shame.
Literally, can you believe that happened?
No, I can't believe. It's not America that I thought we were living in. How long do I have to keep this up?
Until I say so. So what you're telling me is you don't believe the mainstream media headlines. Okay, all right, let's go through these then. Over the weekend, a Honduran mother was deported with her children after she chose not to leave them behind. Seems pretty straightforward to me. Let's go through this PBS. Here it is. ICE deported 3 children who are U.S. citizens. Their family lawyers say, the Democrats knew it. They warned us that this was going to happen. They told us that Donald Trump, if you had brown skin, he's just going to deport you. That's what they tell me every day. They said, just wait. Your last name's Gonzalez. He'll come for you next. Here it is. Just like they said, playing out. American citizens now. He's just deporting. Now, when you dig a little deeper into the story, you realize that the mother was, of course, illegal. And when you look at this a little deeper than the headline, it says that ICE specifically said the mother wanted the girl to be deported with her to Honduras. Okay, so what this is, of course, it says lawyers for the girl's father insisted he wanted the girl to remain with him in the U.S. ICE contended the mother had wanted the girl to be deported with her to Honduras. So what I'm seeing then, Stephen, you tell me where I'm missing the mark here. What I'm seeing is it sounds like some sort of a child custody issue that immigration and customs enforcement does not need to be getting into because the mother of the child had custody of her and said, I don't want you keeping her. I want her to come with me because I'm her mother.
For sure. 100%. Add on to the fact that she really shouldn't be a U.S. citizen in the first place.
Right.
Neither here nor there.
Right. We don't need any more anchor babies. Okay. So now we're told that sort of a mother. So really, Stephen, what we're hearing is a mother taking her child with her. As Tom Homan said, families can be deported together. Did you guys think that we were joking? Families can be deported together. So now the Trump administration was so kind as to keep families together. Trump still gets shit on for letting the 2-year-old go with the mom. Now, he could have taken, we were told during the first Trump administration that he was ripping families apart. He's ripping them apart. He could have ripped them apart, Stephen. He could have separated the mother and her poor 2-year-old child. And can you imagine for a second what the headlines would have been had the Trump administration gone through the process of keeping the 2-year-old here and deporting the mom?
For sure. And the best is that look at the stories they're trying to grapple onto to make this point. You had, I guess they've gotten over the Maryland father.
Yeah, the Maryland father.
Are we past him now?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're past him. So now he's like, oh, wait, he's a gang member. I guess we have to move on to other people. No, this is simply, this woman was here illegally. She was in possession. She had in her custody a 2-year-old daughter. And the Trump administration said, hey, Ma, you want to leave her with us and we'll take care of her and try to get her to her dad? Or do you want to just take her because you're her mom and she's with you? And she was like, I want to take her. If the father has an issue with that, the father can take it up with the mother. Maybe that's why you don't Don't knock up an illegal would be the moral of that story. So it wasn't just this one. It wasn't just this poor mom and this poor 2-year-old without due process. What the hell kind of due process does a 2-year-old need, by the way? All right, the Miami Herald over in Florida, they were like, oh no, there was a mother who was also separated. Go ahead and throw that up here. A Tampa woman deported to Cuba, gets separated from 1-year-old and U.S. citizen husband. That is so sad, Stephen. In fact, I was reading the details of this, and what I was reading was that this Florida woman was separated from her breastfeeding 1-year-old child and her husband. This Florida woman. You know that? Florida woman. I want to
Florida mother.
Thank you. Thank you. Florida mother. This Florida mother was separated from her 1-year-old. Oh my gosh, that is so sad. Well, see, her name is Heidi Sanchez. She entered the country, of course, illegally. She missed her hearings. Huh. Fancy that. That is so crazy. It's not like that happens all the time when they give you a piece of paper and say, do you promise? Will you pinky swear that you will be at this hearing when you say that you will be there? And she's like, yep, I will be there. So she missed her hearings and she had a standing removal order. But we're supposed to cry about the fact that she put roots here when she knew that she was here in the wrong and should have been deported several years ago because she arrived in the United States in 2019. This was 2 years after former President Barack Obama had eliminated an automatic parole policy for Cubans known as wet foot, dry foot. Is that racist? Stephen, is that racist?
Probably. I mean, what's not now, but.
I just feel like wet foot, dry foot. That's a little racist, and I would like Barack Obama to apologize for that. Now, they say she didn't know a judge had issued an order for her removal for failing to appear at the hearing. And when she appeared again to ask for admission at a legal border crossing, U.S. immigration officials detained her. I guess she doesn't have the ability to, I don't know, check the freaking mail. So I'm just saying, if you want to come to this country illegally and you want us to do you all of the favors and you can't even go through the bare minimum of double checking that you are not missing any hearings, you don't take it seriously enough to show up on time at your hearings, I don't know that I'm going to cry when you leave. Maybe my heart has hardened because of the 20 million illegals that Joe Biden let in, just the influx of people that he just let in the country. Maybe my heart has hardened because I look at these stories and I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for the fact that these people, these journalists with absolutely no credibility are going online crying about how a Tampa woman, a Florida woman was deported. I read this one tweet from Billy Corben. I don't know who Billy Corben is. It's not the Smashing Pumpkins. Was that guy's name, Stephen?
I think that was Billy Corgan, I think.
Corgan. No, it's not. Well, it's definitely not Billy Corgan.
I don't know, maybe it's his stepbrother. I don't
know. It's Bill. So whoever the hell this guy is, he this is how he set it up. Florida woman Heidi Sanchez, 44, living in Tampa since 2019, deported to communist Cuba, separated from her 1-year-old daughter, who was still being breastfed, and U.S. citizen husband during regularly scheduled check-in at ICE office. Now, I got a question. I am a Texas woman, okay? You are a Texas man, just as she's a Florida woman, all right? That's what he says right here. As a Texas man, have you ever had a regularly scheduled check-in at an ICE office?
No, I have not.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. And can I add one thing on that too is, it's not like Trump's just doing this. He's been campaigning on it for 2 years. So you would think that you'd want to get all your ducks in a row on that, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's someone to take seriously, it's probably as President Trump on the issue of the border, because he is, to your point, Stephen, he has been very, very clear on that. He was clear about it the last time that he was very anti-open borders. He really wanted to build the wall. Of course, Congress stonewalled him every step of the way, but he was very clear about his intentions. And they thought that they would be different because, you see, this is what they do, Stephen. They come here illegally, they take advantage of the process, and then they have a bunch of babies. And they're like, but I can't leave because my home is here and I have babies here, so you have to let me stay. No, there's a new sheriff in town. And Americans decided they didn't want that policy anymore. So you have, let me play border czar Tom Homan talking about this, defending the policy, because again, he has been very clear on this as well. He said before the election, even before people had a chance to go out to the ballot box and make their selection, do you want the dead guy or do you want President Trump? And Borders Czar Tom Homan at that time was asked about this, and they're like, well, but what do you have to say for families who, they might get separated? Well, guess what? Families can be deported together. It's very easy. You guys can all go at the same time, and we will wish you well, and we will open the door, and we will let you out. Now, the door's closing. You're not coming back, and we are going to lock it, but we will allow you guys to leave together. Don't worry. And here he is defending this policy here. Watch.
If you enter this country legally, it's a crime. If you remain in this country legally and you ignore a judge's order about deporting, if you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position. You put your family in that position. What we did is remove children with their mothers who requested the children depart with them. This was a parental decision, parenting 101. The mothers made that choice. And I tell you what, if we didn't do it, the story today would be Trump administration separating families again. No, we're keeping families together. So when a parent says, I want my 2-year-old baby to go with me, we made that happen. They weren't deported. We don't deport U.S. citizens. The parents made that decision, not the United States government. But I don't hear any questions about Laken Riley had a mother. She's never going to see her child again. Rachel Morin, she had 5 children. Those children are never going to see their mom again. This administration is doing the right thing.
I mean, Stephen, do you remember back in Donald Trump's first term, AOC crying on the other side of the border? Do you remember why that was? Do you remember what that whole big dog and pony show was for?
Yes, it was separating families.
Separating the children, separating families, separating children from their parents. And she went to the border and she... Are they watching? Are they taking pictures? Is this believable enough? She went there all for the optics of pretending like she was very upset about children being separated. Donald Trump was keeping kids in cages, they said. He was keeping kids in cages. He was ripping the parents from their children. Oh my gosh, the horrors. What a terrible human being. Now the parents are like, I would like to keep my child with me. And President Trump is like, okay, that sounds great. And the mainstream media still, Trump deports U.S. citizen kids, even one with cancer. When will we say enough? USA Today said that, by the way. Well, I have an answer for USA Today. We will say enough when all of the illegals and their children are back where they belong. And that's when we will say enough. When the 20 million that came over, I know, the estimates that you hear from, the same old places that are saying 11 million for decades now. I know they want to say it was closer to 10, 11 million. Please, it's got to be closer to 20. Okay, so the millions upon millions upon millions of illegals who came in just through Joe Biden, immediate disqualification, immediate exit. That's when I will say enough. And then I won't even say enough for good. I'll say, all right, we can maybe start taking it on a case-by-case basis. Other than that, you came in through the previous administration. Bye-bye, you're gone. I don't care how many babies you popped out. I don't care how many husbands you married. I don't care what kind of job you have. I don't care about your stability. I don't care. You've just got to go. And we've got to put our foot down. And if the children are in a bad situation, who really is to blame for that? Even the one with cancer, USA Today, who really is the one to blame for that? Because I can think of 2 people who were in charge of procreating and bringing a child into this world, into this country, knowing that you could be in serious legal trouble for the fact that you came here illegally and disrespected our laws. So if someone wants to be upset about that, maybe talk about the bad parenting and the bad mothers and the bad fathers that these children have, that they would put them in a situation like this where they would even be having to deal with it. That's bad parenting. Just my opinion. I don't know. And I just have 2 children, but they're feral sometimes. So maybe my opinion doesn't count. I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and thank you, Stephen. Thank you for your participation. I sometimes feel bad asking you to join because he's like in the control room, like punching buttons and listening to 100 different things and giving instructions. And I'm like, also listen to me blab more because you don't hear it enough at home. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. I will be back with our guest today. First, we want to, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to the show, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are still in the review phase of remonetization, but every day that passes, it doesn't look bright. It continues looking bleaker. So I would just ask to do something that's totally free, and that is subscribe to our YouTube channel at Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. For those of you who are not watching on YouTube, go over there and subscribe to YouTube. By the way, make sure that you check out my beauty company, AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. You can get some makeup there if you're a woman. You can get some makeup for your wife if you're a man. I technically, legally have to sell to trans people if they want to buy it, but I don't like them. So do with that what you will. AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. And check out our merch. You can get Support Your Local Ice Raids merch as well. I thought this was fitting today. Support your local ice raids. There were a bunch of ice raids over the weekend that were very fruitful endeavors. SarahMerch.com. Listen, we got to pay the bills. All right? This isn't free. They're going to turn the lights out on me if we don't pay the bills. So go check us out. And speaking of that, I want to thank our sponsor of this segment, Relief Factor. Relief Factor, they're for those of you who you live in constant pain. If you haven't heard about Relief Factor, first of all, move out from under the rock that you're living under. Second of all, if you live in constant pain and you think that that's just your life now, it doesn't have to be that way. Try their 3-week quick start. It's $19.95, so less than $1 a day to see if it can help you get rid of your pain. So if you're living with pain, you understand like the toll that it takes on your body, the toll that it takes on your life. You may be, more irritable with your children, with your spouse. You just walk around with nagging pain. It doesn't have to be that way. This is 100% drug-free, all-natural, anti-inflammatory that helps your body fight pain naturally. And I will say, fight it at the root cause, not just masking it. You will get rid of it from the root cause. 70% of the people who order that package right there that you are looking at on your screen go on to keep ordering more. That's how many people it's working for. The odds are in your favor. It can work for you. Go to relieffactor.com. Get that 3-week quick start over at relieffactor.com. Welcome to the show, Matthew Marsden, BlazeTV contributor and actor and producer extraordinaire, who is illegal, not illegal.
I was going to say, I was like, who's illegal?
A legal immigrant turned really, really legal, greatest patriot and citizen, right?
I love that.
I got all that correct.
Yeah.
Greatest patriot.
Greatest patriot. My guy over there.
There he is. Oh, look at him. Hold on.
I will be the greatest president.
All right,
that
quickly
God
though,
ever
Donald.
created.
Thank you. There he is, right there.
My guy.
Greatest patriot. Greatest president. Greatest patriot. We got it.
I love it. We got it.
We got it.
We got it.
So, just so we got that out of the way, legal, okay? Don't be confused with the accent. All right, I know you hear the accent and you're like, Warren, show me your papers. He's here legally. All right.
And by the way, I would gladly show my papers.
Yes.
Because I've got nothing to hide.
Yes. Because being a citizen and being here legally is sacred. And we will all, that's why I get this all the time too. I want to get back into immigration. I get that all the time too. People are like, oh, soon you're going to be deported if you don't show your papers. And I'm like, guys, I'll show my ID and it'll clear it all right up.
Yeah.
It's not a problem for me because it's very, very easy. I'm in the database, have been since I was born. Not an anchor baby, by the way. So no issues. All right. So you've got what I was talking about earlier with, the Trump administration deporting U.S. citizens without due process. Oh, well, it's just the moms taking their babies with them. Kind of different than deporting 2-year-olds without due process. And you have, the media continue to double down on stupid. And I think that the White House is very smart to lean into what they know that the left is going to do, which is double down on stupid. And so they are just going all out. You had the White House today with all of these signs on the lawn, on the White House lawn, of all of these people, these illegals who have been arrested. and on the Rapid Response 47 X account, they have all of these guys listed. They have their mugshots. They have the crimes that they committed. And these are all very, very heinous crimes. They've murdered people. They've sexually assaulted people. They've been indecent with a child. They have DUIs, DWIs. I mean, these are really, really heinous crimes against America. There's murder, rape, murder, a lot of rapes and murders. And so you see just all of these people, and they just plastered them up on the White House lawn, conveniently, actually, where all of these, if you've ever been to the White House.
Have you been to the White House?
I've been to the White House.
Wait, when did you go to the White House?
I did, like a month ago.
No way. Who did you interview at the White House?
I interviewed Secretary Kennedy and Secretary McMahon and Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly. Yep.
No way.
I did that. So I was going to say, if you are on, like, behind the gate, if you're in front of the gate, I should say, and if you're looking at the White House, see, I was where they were in that driveway, but if you're behind the gate, you can see the tents for all of these media outlets. They have these tents that are right there on that driveway. And so it was all plastered right there for all of these media companies, media outlets to have to see. And so you had MSNBC, who they did when they initially aired this. It was all live, so they couldn't steer away from it. But MSNBC wanted to cover for these illegal criminals. You saw those crimes; those were not like that wasn't like ran a red light. Mm-hmm. These are like violent criminals that should, of course, be deported from our country, and that's actually a nice outcome.
Well, that's
right.
At least the second crime that they've done.
Right, well, right, because they're all here illegally, which means they're a criminal upon entry of this country. And so you had MSNBC, who, when they uploaded this to their TikTok account, they uploaded this clip trying to make President Trump look really, really bad and mean because Orange Man bad. And they blurred the faces of the criminals to protect their privacy. Watch.
White House has put up about 100 posters of what they say are unauthorized immigrants who have been arrested for violent crimes. You can see them there. They put them up on the driveway of the White House. If you
Did
look
you just
here,
say an
that's
unauthorized
the West Wing
immigrant?
just at the forefront, the executive mansion itself to the left. But what's particularly noteworthy about this location is it is right directly behind the positions where TV correspondents do their hits from the White House lawn. So therefore, no matter what network you're on, that includes MSNBC, if you're doing a hit from the White House right now, those pictures will be behind you. The White House is doing a briefing in about a half hour about what they're doing here.
That includes MSNBC. That darn President Trump is showing the American people the truth again, and there's nothing we can do about it because if we take that off of the White House lawn, it's trespassing. He was very upset. Well, they corrected themselves on Twitter. I mean, on TikTok, so they blurred their faces to protect their privacy.
Well, you know what they should do as well, the Trump administration, which would be really cool, is they should make ones that are higher as well, because those ones are low, depending on the camera angle. If they had them all high, like head high, like they should have 2 rows of them so they just can't get away from. I mean, this is where we are right now. I think that the American people are really beginning to realize that the left just hates them. Mm-hmm. And as you said before, Orange Man bad. They're not coming up with anything that is remotely constructive. If you look at the Democratic politicians, they haven't said anything that is positive. Again, they've got nowhere else to go. They've boxed themselves into the situation, though, Sarah. That's the problem. They are screwed, actually, because they can't get out of it. They don't have any positive view for America. And so now we've got to the point where they have defended illegals so much that when the administration, which, by the way, kudos to whoever decided to put that out there, because it shows this is perfect. Like, go on the attack. How often have we said this? You have to call them on it. And they could have just left it alone. Right. But they can't, can they? They just go, I've got to do something. How can I? Well, blur the faces. That's a disastrous decision. That's just terrible. It's terrible because it actually, people go, why is that blurred out? Like, you ask another question, it's like
the worst of the criminals And they're like, oh, well, we don't want to. They're only what is it, Stephen? Unauthorized immigrants?
Yes, unauthorized immigrants.
They're only unauthorized immigrants.
Oh, that's a new one.
They're just unauthorized.
They've come up with a new one.
Mm-hmm. So would it be called an unauthorized immigrant if someone broke into your home?
I guess so.
I mean, technically, they're just unauthorized immigrants.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be. They were not supposed to have traveled all the way past your doorstep, and now they are inside your home. Are they just an unauthorized immigrant?
Or just an unauthorized criminal? Or
it's an unauthorized homeowner, Sarah.
An
unauthorized homeowner.
An unauthorized homeowner. Exactly.
I would not put it past them. This is the thing about the left. That, the funny thing is for years and years and years, they have dominated the language. That they have absolutely battered the right with their use of no, you can't call it an illegal alien, right? Now it's an undocumented, whatever it is, migrants, dehumanizing,
undocumented. Yeah, migrant is better.
I mean, I hate that because then when you get migrant and they'll put that in, what they're doing in the UK and in Europe, which is even sneakier, is they call them refugees, right? Or asylum seekers. Mm-hmm. And we all know the asylum seeker program is just a Trojan horse to get people in. Yep. But they haven't kind of caught up to that yet, mainly because they know that they can't call them refugees here or asylum seekers because the majority of them aren't.
A lot of them still try, though.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, which one on my CBP One app can I?
Right.
All of the above. Didn't matter anyway. Yep. And there we are when we fill in our forms. We're always like sweating, like don't get it wrong, and they're like, whatever. They're not going to do anything to us.
Yep.
They look. The left now is all they are is they're contrarians. That's all it is. If Trump says this, if the administration says this, then we're doing the opposite. That's all they've got. And they are going to lose because if you are blurring out the faces of rapists and murderers, we've said this before. There was like, oh look, it is a old woman trying to get over the border. She's so sad. It's like, oh, it's a little baby. Can you imagine? Like, come on, 12-month-old baby, get on that plane. No, they're getting rid of the mother that shouldn't be here. Right. They always go for the squishy, try and play on the emotions. It's not working anymore. Mm-mm. Americans just like, I don't give a shit. It's over. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, these people are largely irrelevant now, especially with places like, Blaze and alternatives to, I mean, as Elon Musk said, we are now the media. Everyone who is on social media, you too can be the media. And I think that makes people like New York Times columnist David Brooks very mad because he's going on and talking about these judges, these rogue judges who are standing in the way of illegals being deported, whether they are housing them in their homes, which we covered last week, that the guy with holding the Dos Equis. Were you here? No, you were. Oh my God. It was so good. It was the judge who was holding, he was posing with the MS-13 gang members, or was it Tren de Aragua? I get them confused. He was posing with them. And he was in the middle in like this Hawaiian looking shirt. And there it is. And a Dos Equis doing the peace sign.
Oh my gosh.
It's so stupid. You couldn't make it up if you tried. He's like, yeah.
Look at me.
I'm in a gang.
I'm down with the people.
So you had him, and then you had that woman judge, I believe this was in Wisconsin, who I know that they didn't want to give you the details, but she actually, when she saw that ICE and the FBI were there, she told them to go visit the chief judge and to buy time, took the illegal alien, and took him into her chambers through a side door and let him out the side door. Speaking of unauthorized, an unauthorized way for him to leave so that he could leave and, of course, not be detained, right? So, I mean, I thought no one was above the law, but apparently illegals are, according to judges in this country. And I want to play New York Times columnist David Brooks calling her actions heroic. Watch.
Well, obviously, they're trying to send a note of intimidation, not only to her, but to all judges and maybe to all Americans. But I don't yet know the specific details of this case, whether she escorted the guy out the jury door or whether she's let him. So that's all murky. I don't want to comment on this specific case. But especially on the issue of immigration, there are a lot of people who are appalled by what the administration is doing. And there will be times for civil disobedience. And to me, let's say she did escort this guy out the door.
Really
if federal enforcement agencies come to your courtroom and you help a guy escape, that is two things. One, it strikes me as maybe something illegal, but it also strikes me as something heroic. And in times of trouble, then people are sometimes called to do civil disobedience. And in my view, when people do civil disobedience, they have to pay the price. That's part of the heroism of it, frankly. And so you can both think that she shouldn't have legally done this, and that morally protecting somebody against, or maybe not even in this case, but in other cases, frankly, a predatory enforcement agency.
Oh, heroic. It's like MLK, civil rights. This judge
choked up about
this judge, which I wish that we had her booking picture. She's crying. She's very upset about her decision. I don't think she's happy about the civil disobedience that she just engaged in. Because, sometimes call for that. You had another judge who was standing up for her over in Wisconsin that said that I have no intention of allowing anyone to be taken out of my courtroom by ICE and sent to a concentration camp, especially without due process, as both of the constitutions we swore to support require. Should I start raising bail money? It's the concentration camp that they're being sent to. And now it's just so crazy, Matt, because, these are really high standards these days. Like, would you expect a judge to know what obstruction of justice is? What? That's asking for too much.
There's a Supreme Court justice that doesn't know what a woman is. So
that's what I'm saying. That's a high bar. What do you think, that they're going to memorize every single crime that there ever was?
It used to be that the one thing that you wanted from a judge was impartiality, right? You wanted them to just look at things through the prism of the law. That's the reason why there's always those statues when justice is blindfolded, right? Mm-hmm. This is really, really concerning. We joke about it because it's dealing with one specific area which is so absurd and doesn't necessarily impact us on a daily basis. But if you are a conservative and you have an issue that you have to go in front of a judge, that know, whether it's a criminal issue or whether it's a civil issue, you're clearly not going to get treated equally.
Right.
We can see this. If they're behaving like this, and by proxy they're looking at that and they're saying that every person that puts on a red hat wants to send people to concentration camps. Again, you got to look at the way they say this, because who sends people to concentration camps? Nazis. Yep. And if Nazis send them to concentration camps, and we all know that Nazis are what? Evil. Mm-hmm. What can you do to people who are evil?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You can kill them. Exactly. It's honestly, it's so bad. Look, they're just massively emotional anyway. They're always emotional. They always lead by, they always use this extreme rhetoric. I don't know if you guys have seen some, we can put this out for the viewers as well. Have you noticed how many people on X are going, this is the greatest president ever? And they're putting like a picture of Joe Biden, who didn't know what day it was.
Yep.
And they're like, he is the great. Do you miss this? And I'm like, he doesn't even know where he is. He doesn't know what day of the week it is. Just give me some banana pudding. See, I said banana, not banana. Banana pudding. This is the way they are. But the amount, I'll tell you this now, if we reached out to people that have been involved in lawsuits or have had to go in front of these judges for one reason or another, I'll guarantee you the majority of people have been treated unfairly.
Yeah.
And that is not right.
Yeah.
This is a massive problem. I know someone personally who got into a lawsuit, ended up winning the lawsuit, but the judge, he was saying like that they were asking the question of the judge, was the judge biased one way or another, because it was in California. You don't think in California the majority of them are going to be biased. But President Trump put in a lot of judges. Thank God. Thank God in his first administration. But this is the deep state. It's the deep state in media. It's the deep state in the judiciary, and this is bad.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then I do want to get into a couple other instances of just how bad the media has gotten. And I have to tell you, because you're not watching it, because nobody watches their shit anymore. But I'll just give you, we watch so you don't have to. So we'll give you the highlights or lowlights, as it were, after the break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Preborn. So Preborn is doing God's work, and I mean that very literally, because Preborn is an organization that has this network of clinics. And these clinics are where women go to when sometimes they're right next to a Planned Parenthood. And if Preborn can get the woman to come into their clinic rather than Planned Parenthood, where they are sold lies, Preborn gets them to come into their clinic where they are welcomed with God's love, and they are welcomed and shown the truth, which is that's a baby inside you. It's not a clump of cells. It is a baby, and it's your baby, and life is sacred. When a woman sees her baby on ultrasound, when a woman hears that heartbeat, it's a life-changing moment. Those of you who are parents, you know that first time. I mean, all of the babies it's so exciting, but that first time when you walk in and you don't know what to expect and you hear that baby's heartbeat, it is life-changing. And so in that moment, that woman is twice as likely to choose life. Ultrasounds cost money. All right, I'm going to be straight with you guys. $28 is the cost of one ultrasound. So I'm asking you guys, knowing that you could be responsible for saving the life of a baby, how many ultrasounds can you help us sponsor? You can go to preborn.com/Sarah. Maybe it's just one, and that's okay. Maybe it's 5, and that's awesome. But just know that however much you can donate, you are donating to save babies' lives. Preborn.com/Sarah. You can donate securely over at preborn.com/Sarah. Speaking of the media, Matt, did you catch the latest 60 Minutes? Hold on. I'm psychic. I can guess. No.
How did you know that?
I got it right. Because I'm psychic. I told you. Because no one's watching. So Scott Pelley gave this very poised, dramatic speech at the end about an executive producer. He doesn't speak like this, but he should. Mm-hmm. He fancies himself a journalist. Is that good?
Yeah, I at least an 8 out of 10.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's okay.
He fancies himself a journalist, and he has a very important announcement to make. Let's listen.
In tonight's Last Minute, a note on Bill Owens, who until this past week was executive producer of 60 Minutes. He was our boss. Bill was with CBS News nearly 40 years, 26 years at 60 Minutes. He covered the world, covered combat, the White House. His was a quest to open minds, not close them. If you've ever worked hard for a boss because you admired him, then you understand what we've enjoyed here. Bill resigned Tuesday. It was hard on him and hard on us, but he did it for us and you.
Me?
Stories we've pursued for 57 years are often controversial. Lately, the Israel-Gaza war and the Trump administration. Bill made sure they were accurate and fair. He was tough that way.
Yeah, sure they were.
But our parent company, Paramount, is trying to complete a merger.
Okay.
The Trump administration must approve it. Paramount began to supervise our content in new ways.
Oh, no.
None of our stories has been blocked, but Bill felt he lost the independence that honest journalism requires.
So funny.
He's too honest.
Too honest.
He's too honest for their parent company, Paramount. He's too damn honest, Matt, all right? All he wants to do is tell the damn truth. And this merger is getting in the way of him telling the damn truth about the Trump administration. Now, it wasn't the Biden administration he didn't want to tell the truth on.
Oh, don't talk about them.
He didn't want to tell the truth on. Because if you recall, this same coverage over on 60 Minutes, you had President Trump sitting down with Blondie and trying to talk about the Hunter Biden laptop story. And I'd like for you to listen to, I would assume this executive producer was the same one who was in charge of this. It's so interesting from someone who he just wants to tell the damn truth. He just wants truth and accuracy. So interesting to hear how they covered that. Watch.
You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie,
I think it's one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen.
and you don't cover it.
Because,
You want to talk about,
well, because it can't be verified.
you want to talk
I'm
about
telling you.
insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course it can be verified. Excuse me,
We
they found the
cannot-
laptop. Leslie.
Here is the laptop.
What can't be verified?
The laptop.
Why do you say that?
Because
Even the
it's
family
verified.
hasn't.
It's
the
so
family
frustrating for him,
on
though,
the
isn't it, as well?
laptop.
I mean, the poor
He's
guy,
gone into
honestly,
I know.
it's
For
just
5
been
days, he's gone
gaslit,
into
like,
hiding.
massive.
I know.
Preparing for your debate.
Oh, it's taken him 5 days to prepare? I doubt it. I doubt it. Okay.
The media is fake. And frankly, if I didn't have social media, I'd have no way of getting out my voice.
I mean, prove it. Well, there is a laptop, and we've seen way too much of what was on it, and we can't put the genie back in the bottle. Unfortunately, it's caused some people probably some therapy. Okay, and there was a laptop, and those things existed, and Hunter Biden and those around him admitted it, sued over it. But listen, we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. That could just be Russian disinformation.
This is the problem. If that was an Eric Trump laptop, what do you think they would have done? They would have done specials. They would have gone after it. They would have given Trump crap about it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Here's the thing. Paramount, because, you know, this is, when you're talking about Paramount, you're talking about an area that I do know of. Paramount are probably the most conservative of all the movie studios. And they are being merged with Skydance, who did Top Gun Maverick. Skydance want to make great entertainment. That's what they want to do. Mm-hmm. So if anything, what Skydance and the Paramount merger would mean would be more fair journalism. Mm-hmm. This is the funny thing when Fox aside, and we won't even talk about that. But when you
vaccine mandate, Fox,
I didn't say it.
Is that the one you're talking about?
I didn't say it.
Okay,
just talk about curious. Fox.
Yeah. DEI Fox. Hey, make sure that you're subscribed to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered because, I'm joking. I am the DEI hire, but we don't believe in DEI or vaccine mandates. Just saying.
You got you, and then you got an immigrant on your show, like
yeah,
all the time. It's like what? No, but I mean, this is the funny thing about the right, and we've said it for a very, very long time, is that the right, sometimes to its detriment, is too fair. So if you are going to get people, and again, I'm not even saying that they're conservatives. The people that are taking over Paramount understand that people just want either entertainment, or they want fair reporting, because there's none of that anymore. So it's like, actually, we do more fair reporting on this show than any of these cable channels. So what is probably going on here is they're saying, listen, you've got to just do your job.
Right.
You got to do your job.
Right.
And they're like, no, I want to blah, blah, blah. Like you said, we can see the prejudice. We can see the bias. They're not even curious, Sarah. Even if they didn't know, they should say, we're going to get into this. The Biden laptop was the biggest story. The biggest story.
I mean, they participated in that was rigging an election.
Yeah, 100%.
I know they wanted to gaslight President Trump on that, but they covered for Joe Biden. What was it? A month before the election, this explosive thing happens with his son. Potentially, I mean, some of the files did involve Joe Biden, and they covered for him. I mean, that was election rigging, as much as they like to say, you know.
It's not, but of course, let's put it like this. Would it have made a difference? Now, I actually don't think it would have made a difference because I think that they rigged the election anyway.
Yeah.
But it was just another part of it. Would it have made a difference if they would have actually done their job and reported on it like they should have done? Yeah, I think it would have. I mean, how can you look, if Eric or Don Jr. had incriminating evidence on a laptop, we would, as conservatives, will say, hang on a second, that is leverage on Trump. It just is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. And as patriots that love our country, we would say this cannot be. Mm-hmm. The left, they don't care. They're burying it. They're saying everything other than the truth. And let me say this, Sarah, as well. These are the people that came out and just kept saying Russian disinformation, mm-hmm. Russian disinformation. I don't know if you noticed, but actually Russia is a nuclear power. It's not a joke. Imagine if the Russians were coming out all the time and going, it's America, America got involved, it's American disinformation. We haven't actually heard much of that from Russia at all. So this is not a game. These people behave like this is a game of Risk, or like it's a game of, charades, that there are no consequences for the stuff that they do. Mainly because they don't live in the real world. They live in these little pockets in New York and LA. But these things have real world consequences.
Yeah. No, you're right.
This is very, very serious.
Well, and just to your point, before we have to go to break here, there was a study that showed the negative coverage of Trump, just how bad it was. Just 100 days into President Donald Trump's second term, the broadcast evening news landscape is even more lopsided than it was 8 years ago. It's worse, is what they're saying. They said the new Trump administration has faced a withering 92% negative coverage from ABC, CBS, Looking at You, 60 Minutes, and NBC. 92%, and he is literally following through on what got him elected in the first place. These people are not to be trusted. And if President Trump got one thing correct, his last go around, it was the media, the mainstream media is the enemy of the people, period. They can say that they're not, they are, period, end of story. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. Well, over the weekend, one of Jeffrey Epstein's most famous victims, Virginia Giuffre, they say she's committed suicide. Now, I want to get your quick thoughts on it before we have to go, but I do want to just say publicly, she has said in the past that she was not, this is her post, I am making it publicly known that I in no way, in any shape or form, am suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. And now, strangely enough, they say she killed herself at her home with a gun. Seems a little suspicious when you consider what happened to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, nothing's off the table, is it? I think you got to look into it. Didn't she get hit by a bus as well?
That's what was so weird. She said, I got hit by a bus. I only had my days to live. And then she went home, obviously, because she was found dead in her home. So it's, and then it's hard to know, because imagine the trauma and the pain that you have to live with when she was sex trafficked the way that she was as a young girl.
And then dismissed for years and years
right.
and years as a crazy or whatever. It's really tragic. This is on all those, I blame the people who sunk all the Epstein files for this.
Yeah, we need the files. We need the files, guys, like yesterday. So release them immediately, Pam. Looking at you.